Hello, everyone. A very good evening to all of you. Thank you so much for joining in back. Without any further delay, let me introduce you with Mr. Amitabh Kant, Chief Executive Officer, NITI Aayog. He is going to deliver a keynote for all of you. Please stay tuned. Over to you, sir.
Samir, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, great pleasure to be in the midst of this vibrant fintech community. COVID-19 has actually tested the resilience of India's technology community. Financial technology sector has been the shining star of our startup and technology ecosystem. It has stood tall and enabled seamless transition from a physically connected to a physically distant, socially connected new world order. The last few months have shown why it is important for countries and governments to invest heavily in digital infrastructure, the commons that form the foundation for innovation and product development. For past several years, India has developed these very strong foundations. The best digital identification infrastructure in Aadhaar, the best payment infrastructure in UPI, and the most open and encouraging policy regime globally, supporting and nurturing innovation and technology from large companies and startups alike from India and world's best, all the best of companies. It wouldn't be an exaggeration to say that the government has been the biggest disruptor in India's fintech growth story. India's strength lies in developing these digital highways and then enabling private sector to innovate on it. Google, for example, innovated on top of UPI and built Google Pay. In just 3 years, Google Pay now has more than 75 million active users on their platform. India provides an accommodative ecosystem for Google's agility and tech prowess. This digital first rather than digital also impetus is what inspires confidence in India tech and has led to continued strong investments in India's technology, especially in fintech segment. Google's 10 billion fund for India is a testament to that. The evolution of India's financial technology market is still in nascent stages and is following the global trend of fintech adoption curve. Early work in payment and fund transfers is now leading to increased appetite for digital lending and gradually leading to activities such as insurance, wealth management, and traditional deposit/saving accounts. COVID-19 has accelerated the adoption of digital means of financial services. It has spurred the adoption of contactless digital payments, and there has been a surge in digital payment volumes across online grocery stores, small retail outlets, online pharmacies, vegetable and fruit vendors, recharges, bill payments, as well as OTT, telecom and media and edtech players. Contactless payments through QR code wallets, UPI or contactless cards are gaining popularity as they offer convenience, safety and security while allowing the consumers to maintain physical distancing. UPI has registered its highest ever transaction volume and value in June 2020, which is more than 1,300 million transactions amounting to more than 2.6 lakh crore transactions. Despite all the disruptions caused by COVID-19, our digital payment system have worked smoothly. And this is what drives our confidence that we are prepared for a post-COVID-19 future as we ramp up our ambitions in moving up the fintech value chain. The Nilekani Committee on Deepening of Digital Payments has set ambition targets, very, very ambitious targets for India, and I'm quite certain that we'll achieve these. Firstly, a 10x increase in per capita digital transactions from 22 in March 2019 to 2020 in March 2022. 2x increase in digital transaction value as percentage of GDP from 769% in 2018-19 to 1500% in 21-22. And a 3x increase in number of active digital payments user per month from 100 million to 300 million. From payments, the next segment that I believe is the next big growth driver is the digital lending space. According to research estimates, total retail loans to be disbursed digitally by 2023 could be over 1 trillion. And this is being driven by increase in retail loan disbursements, greater access to the internet, and increase in digital influence and digital purchase. The future of lending, to my mind, will be phygital, with digital lending constituting 50% of total lending by 2023. Strong growth is also expected in SME loans and personal loans, with increasing penetration across vehicle and home loans. InsurTech could be the next big thing for fintech in India. Insurance sector in India is expected to grow 4x by 2025, with annual expected premium of US $250 billion by 2025. Initiatives that are triggering this growth, in addition to digital initiatives, are opportunities through government initiatives. The Pradhan Mantri Suraksha Bima Yojana, the Pradhan Mantri Fasal Bima Yojana, and Ayushman Bharat. The insurance sector is primed for disruption. And given the current approach to products, one size fits all solutions, there's a need for better underwriting and claim processing model and changing consumer expectations. The demand is there for new products, micro-insurance, health data-driven insurance, on-demand insurance, etc. The future of fintech in India is extremely bright, and this future is in your capable hands. I wish you all the very best.
Thank you, sir, for keynote. Without any further delay, I would like to welcome Mr. Sameer Nigam, founder and CEO, Phonepe, for a fireside chat with Mr. Kant on making India a global fintech hub. Over to you, Sameer.
Hello, sir, and hello, audience. Pleasure as always, sir. Very, very inspiring words delivered in a way that only you can. You talked about a lot of opportunities that are very both large in size and very unique to India in many ways. Now, I think it's a well-known secret that you would be an entrepreneur at the frontier of government policy making. So my first question to you would be, if you were an entrepreneur in the fintech industry with all the information at your disposal that you have today, which of these sectors, from lending to payments to insurance, would you dive headlong into, and why?
I think, sir, you are on mute.
So Sameer, I think all these sectors are going to grow and expand because India is still in an evolutionary stage. Only a third of our population is using smartphones, which has 10x power when generating data. And this segment will grow exponentially, and this will create the biggest market for the digital world in the future. And there will be an enormous amount of opportunity across sectors, across insurance, across lending. And I think each one of these sectors is a niche sector. And actually, I really wish that I was not in the Indian Administrative Service and I was not the CEO of NITI Aayog, but in this very dynamic and vibrant scenario, I wish I was an entrepreneur and I would have made a choice. But the choice is for all of you to take, but all these sectors open up vast opportunities.
So I'm going to take that away as you'd be building a super app for all financial services then.
So there's a huge opportunity there.
So I think every as they say, never waste a crisis, and every dark cloud has a silver lining. As you mentioned, we are seeing some very exciting sort of progress on various things. Nilekani sir talked about account aggregator coming up. During COVID, UPI has now got solutions for feature phones and iOS phones, which should be live soon, which means every phone becomes sort of a addressable market. Uh, my next question to you is on the lending side. Uh, I think by all accords, there's unprecedented sort of need for liquidity and loans, and fintechs, large part of this audience, people are very excited about using data for alternative lending. Um, which of the sectors, from MSME to organized, what kind of loans and what kind of sectors do you think small fintech companies, I specifically mentioned small startups of today, should focus on, where the early stage can survive because volatility is high? It's a top of mind question for a lot of startups. So you're on mute, I think.
The lending business, to my mind, requires a lot of prudence and a lot of diligence. And the core tenets have remained the same, irrespective of the sector and the means of lending. And whether it be physical and digital, and therefore, I would advise all those who are in the business of lending to be extremely do their due diligence, because I'm not an expert in digital lending, nor do I have plans to start a lending company soon. And I will leave it to the credit experts and people with access to data and intelligence to select the sectors to infuse more capital. And this is really important because India will be throwing up an enormous amount of data. And it's rightly been said that Indians may be economically poor, but we are all data rich. And actually, as was rightly said, that the individual's data in India is far more valuable than their current material worth of about 2,000 per capita. There's a mismatch in potential in reality, and there's a huge opportunity which we'll see in the days to come to monetize data. And therefore, this huge opportunity to use data for lending and actually do due diligence around that and to lend will be a massive, massive opportunity for India in the days to come.
Thank you, sir. So, one other question. I think for the last sort of 3 months, we've been hearing everyone from big tech to big businesses in India and startups as well talking about the MSME sector and Kiranas in a way that honestly haven't heard in the last decade. Terribly exciting prospect. From your vantage point, seeing what you're seeing in terms of the COVID impact, what is the role of technology you would like to see in terms of really shaping the true potential of the MSME sector? We've heard about lending, so I won't talk about that, but what are the other things that you think the technology sector should do to really harness the power of the MSME sector?
So I think firstly, I feel that there has to be improved connectivity and increased technology adoption. They will significantly improve the addressable market in India. Entrepreneurs are increasingly building products across sectors for these markets. And our entrepreneurs in the fintech sector are just phenomenal. They are top class entrepreneurs. All the entrepreneurs I've come across are just brilliant and top class. And Indian SMBs and consumer segments are not only large markets by themselves, servicing them can potentially unlock larger, underserviced global markets for Indian startups. And the SMB segment today remains fragmented and hence primed for massive digital adoption. And I think this is a huge market. And that is where you are seeing the continued interest. Out of a total pool of approximately 60 million SMEs, only a fraction that is only about 1.5 million merchants have adopted digital payment systems. And this is a huge opportunity. And therefore, reaching small informal businesses in a targeted manner is extremely tough, but it's very challenging. And the need is to build infrastructure to connect and digitalize SMB segment across the supply chain. Government of India has recently launched Champions Portal is a much needed step in this direction. And I want to appreciate MSME Ministry for doing this. And Government of India has extended very strong support to the MSME sector. As part of the COVID-19 economic relief measure, rupees 3 lakh crore emergency credit line guarantee scheme has been announced and a very substantial amount has already been sanctioned. And you will see a huge movement forward as far as the MSME is concerned. Thank you.
Sir,
While you are asking me all this, I would also like to hear from you as to what are your first-hand account of trends in digital payments during the last few months, particularly during the COVID period. And I would like to share I would like you to share your insight. What are the trends and how has India used payments lately? What have been the success rate of our infrastructure?
Oh, success rate. Let me start with that. I think success rate has been absolutely top notch. In fact, NPCI started publishing success rates recently publicly, and very happy to report that the UPI infrastructure is holding up at 98% plus, touching 99%. That's testament, as you said, to just brilliant common infrastructure. I think the first lockdown, like demonetization 4 years ago, has given a very visible boost across cities, towns, rural metros to adoption of digital payments. And I think that is continuing. We're seeing this for the last 4 months. From our standpoint, just to give you an example, IPL was supposed to start just around when the first lockdown happened. And as we'd signed up to be sponsors, the targets we had for customer acquisition during IPL, which is the biggest advertising season of the year, we achieved those organically during the lockdown. It's just unprecedented numbers. So we are seeing more and more people. The fastest growth in digital payments, at least for Phonepe, is in tier 3 and continues to be there. So about 60% of all new customers every month for the last year almost are in tier 3 and beyond, which is also fascinating. People often ask me if penetration is happening down the pyramid. We actually almost always say that it's the metros that are stubborn. The penetration is actually happening in the heartland. Categories like recharge and bill payments and utility payments, e-commerce, groceries, they all exploded. I think you already touched upon edtech and digital gaming, certain categories that just had a purple patch. That's entirely online. E-commerce, transit, transport obviously has been muted. Offline transactions have been cyclical depending on how the big cities lockdowns have been evolving. But I think what's been most interesting is the resilience of MSMEs. So we are today actually thought I'd also quickly challenge. We see about 3 million unique merchants doing digital payments a month right now, and that's just on Phonepe. I'm sure the numbers are even higher. But merchants in the Kirana segment have adopted digital payments in a way that is now durable. Very, very heartening to see.
Okay, great. That's wonderful news.
I be amiss not to ask you a top of mind question. I know we've talked about this before. Speaking of merchant payments, I think one of the things that the sector, especially the smaller payment companies are grappling with is the double whammy of COVID and just before that, the zero MDR that came in. While transactions are booming, the financial viability of a lot of either early stage or less capitalized companies is a threat. And it's not a secret, sir, you know this. My question is, at a policy level, how do we expect 50 to 60 million MSMEs to get digitized and really sort of have fintechs play a role in that? Indian startups who are early stage playing specific sectors, if they have to look at adjacent business models, because a lot of entrepreneurs I talk to nowadays who are reaching out for advice are trying to pivot to B2B payments, they're trying to pivot to corporate payments, unnatural sort of focus, because especially in the early stage, as you well know, you have to have laser sharp focus. Where do we see the payment sector standalone go from here?
No, I quite in agreement with you that we have to help, fintech sector to have a business model, and then they'll push for large scale digitization of MSME. We in the government are actually keen to hear from the people at the forefront of the MDR to tell us what their view is, and how do we solve this MDR issue? What should the government be doing? And you should be telling us that what should be the road ahead. And if you tell us, we in the government will listen and we'll take up the issue at the right place. And the answer need not be binary in terms of retain or removal. Just tell us what needs to be done. We are here to listen to your views.
So on behalf of IMA, I promise you we will reach out. And this is why the startup sector loves you, sir. Thank you for that.
No, your inputs, the fintech sector inputs will be very, very critical, because we need to digitize fast and we need the private sector to accelerate the pace. We need to help them to create a business model. We need to reach out to MSMEs in digitization in a big way. And all this would require your inputs, and that's critical. Please do get back to us.
Thank you, Mr. Kant, and thank you, Mr. Nigam. It was pleasure listening to both of you. Special thanks to our sponsors, Phonepe, Zendex, and PayPoint. Thank you to all the delegates and audiences as well.